This content is brought to you by BEC Financial Technologies, developing and operating IT for Danish banks.
Okej, słuchajcie, Alona już jest z nami. Przywitajcie ją wielkimi brawami.
One, two, three, can you hear me? Great. My name is Alona Kovalenko, and today I'm going to talk about effective coordination in testing teams. But first of all, let me ask you, could you please raise your hands? How many of you have been working with an intercultural team in general? Oh, wow, so many hands. Great. And how many of you have been working as QA coordinators in these intercultural teams? Oh, less hands, but still. Great. Thank you a lot. And I hope that this presentation will bring the value to you. And also, here is the agenda. So several bullet points. And at the end, there will be a Q&A session. It's like open mic. And maybe you will be able to share some tips and advices from your experience as well. But to begin with, I wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page and we understand these roles identically, since different companies have different responsibilities for QAs and QA coordinators. Here is the slide for visualization, and I'm not going to stop on all of them, but to cut a long story short, I would say that QA member ensures that the product meets specified requirements and standards, while QA coordinator oversees and coordinates QA activities within projects and teams, actually. And I would say that communication here plays a paramount importance for several reasons. First of all, it makes sure that everyone is on the same page. So let's say that everyone is aware that the deadline is on Friday, so people can adjust their workload. Obviously, we know that this is IT industry and everything is on fire and the deadline is for yesterday, but still people do understand what can they do before this deadline, and it helps to avoid misunderstandings. Second, it fosters collaboration. It means that when people work in open and friendly environment, they feel comfortable sharing their ideas. And no one is scared to say that, I think we should test it differently. And then people start discussing how we should do it. And it leads to better problem solving, actually. Then, obviously, accurate documenting and reporting. And I'm not going to talk here about how accurately we should report the bugs for the developer to be able to reproduce these steps and fix the bug as quick as possible. But also, this bullet point covers the documentation and communication with stakeholders. Thus, when stakeholders are updated about the progress of the project, it builds trust and mutual transparency between Agile team and stakeholders. And now let's dive into the strategies, actually. And first of all, I will talk about strategies of improving communication within QA team. And later on, we'll dive to strategies for Agile team. So, when I was thinking about these strategies, first thing that came to my mind was virtual coffee breaks. When COVID started and we started to work remotely, or people continued to work remotely, as now even, or hybrid, whatever, it creates a feeling of isolation, let's say. To avoid the situations like this, what we have done with the team, we created weekly informal meetings to talk about everything except for work. So someone was going to receive driver license, someone was thinking about adopting a pet, and we covered everything but not work. And it helped to create a good team spirit and improve it, actually. And what we're doing right now, we are using icebreakers with the team. When there should be boring long meeting, we use, for example, some questions that require short answers, like whom you have been dreaming of becoming when you were a child, or what was the movie that inspired you a lot. It requires only a couple of minutes to answer, but you already know your team members better, and it fosters collaboration. Second thing that came to my mind was task delegation. As a QA coordinator, you understand different people's expertise, and it's important to assign tasks according to their strengths, and not according to their weak points and try to improve it, but because there are two things that can lead this wrong strategy to, is people lose interest in what they are doing, and also it can lead to burnout. We don't want the situations like this, so it's important to keep that in mind. Another important key was inclusive decision making. Thus, you understand, you give some area of responsibility to each team member. Thus, it gives a sense of ownership to each team member, and people do understand that they bring value to what they are doing on a regular basis. Next bullet point was regression testing suite. You develop a comprehensive regression suite to make sure that the new functionality didn't break the existing one. And obviously, you will be later on able to cover with automation these regression tests, and thus creating a space available for more complicated testing. Although it's a QA meetup, right? We all know about 7 principles of testing, and one of them says about pesticide paradox. That's why, to avoid the situations like this and to make these test cases not efficient anymore, what we have done with the team, we also implemented exploratory, or you're free to use ad hoc testing. Thus, it brings creativity to people, and it helps to uncover some unpredictable bugs. And taking into account that we have here people with different competencies, some of them are good at manual run, some of them are good at regression, performance, etc., people were able to encounter different bugs. So it really helped to improve the process, and it also fostered the collaboration. Moving to staying updated. Here we are all on QA Meetup, and we know how dynamic IT industry is. That's why it's crucially important to stay updated with all the latest trends to be able to improve the working processes that we're doing on a regular basis. That's why it also helps to keep everyone updated and to foster this collaboration within the team. Moving to passion clubs. And it was something that I realized here in BSc. We have around 10 passion clubs, tennis, football, running, etc. And first of all, it fostered networking. Thus, you got acquainted with like-minded people, and also you understand people whom you're working with, even from other departments. Thus, encountering any problem, you already know whom you can contact to. Or you can also become a coordinator of one of the passion clubs at your work. Why not, right? Last but not least is cross-training. And I think it's a typical situation when someone goes on vacation or someone's kid is unexpectedly sick. And to avoid the situations like this, it's crucial for every team member to understand the area of responsibility, at least on the surface of every team member. That's why you also diversify skills of everyone. So this was about QA team. And now we are moving to coordination of Agile team. And by this, I mean team that consists not only from QAs, but also developers, Scrum Masters, BAs, etc. And one crucial thing that is important to keep in mind is making sure that the quality is responsibility of every team member. It's not the responsibility of QAs purely. And you may ask how we can do it. What we have implemented in our team was we made sure that QAs are a part of process of all the development, from planning to releasing. Another bullet point, you will never guess. What is it? It's regular communication. And by this, I mean not only the importance of daily stand-ups. It's quite obvious. I have no hesitations that you do have them on a regular basis. But here, I'm talking about the importance of turning cameras on. Thus, you can see with what people you're working regularly, and it also improves the communication within the team. What we have done right now with our team is we have created bi-weekly mixed sessions. And we are arranging these meetings once in 2 weeks. And we combine knowledge sharing sessions and informal meetings like online games or psychological tests. And right now I'm in process of preparing the meeting following the techniques of 36 questions. Does anybody know what is it about? No? This technique fosters actually intimacy by asking progressively personal questions. It was invented quite recently in 1997 by Arthur Aaron, and it aimed to improve personal sharing step by step between people. And actually, you can use it in your romantic relationship, in your friendship, and also at work as well. But there are 2 hidden pitfalls, and you should take them carefully into account before implementing this technique. So, first of all, you should make sure that everyone feels comfortable. So, if there is some person that doesn't want to participate at this meeting, no pressure at all. Just people who are volunteering are joining these meetings. And second one, you need to adjust the questions, obviously. Not to put your teammates into bad or good light in front of their peers, and especially in front of manager. It can be the question like this. How do you like to unwind after a tough working day? It sounds quite neutral, but it helps you to understand people whom you're working with. We are moving to continuous improvement. Can you please raise your hands who do have retrospective meetings on a constant basis, without skipping them? Then, half of the audience, yeah, I would say. Okay, that's not that bad as I thought, to be honest, but I would emphasize on the importance of holding these retrospective meetings, since it helps you to not to only to do some work, but also improve the ways you're doing this work, and thus follow repetitive patterns. As an alternative, if you're lacking of time, and it obviously happens, Copilot gave me an alternative, post-mortem analysis. Funny word that came from medicine, and it means to analyze the treatment of person who was dead already. But in IT industry, it is used to analyze the work that has been done at the end of the whole project. Thus, if you don't have time to hold these retrospective meetings, you can do just this post-mortem analysis, and it also will help you to understand what you should keep doing and what you should stop doing on a regular basis. Another important factor is encourage collaboration. By this, I mean holding peer reviews or pair testing sessions that people do share their knowledge and they come to the equal solution of any problems that they definitely face during these sessions. And for me, especially insightful was here in BSc, the advice of my manager to do shadowing sessions. This is that I was just sitting next to developers, because here in Poland we had only developers from our team, and I was looking what the developer was doing, thus coding or checking out the DB tables, something like this, and it helped me to dive into systems quicker, because the systems are obviously complicated, and I would say that it's an excellent trick for every newcomer to understand how new processes look like and how do they work actually. And last but not least is celebrating success. Obviously, we all want to be praised, and we want our value to be noticeable for all the people. Although there are some things that we should keep in mind before implementing this or any of the above-mentioned techniques. And just in a couple of seconds, I'm going to tell you about these things. Thus, we are moving to the third section of the presentation, cultural differences. So, as you know, BEC is Polish-Danish company. It means that, yes, we do have this policy of equity and identity, although we work with people with different mentalities. And there are minor changes that really play a huge role, and we need to take them into account when we are building communication strategies. And let me give you a couple of examples for you to understand what I'm talking about and to see how important and crucial these minor aspects may be. So here we have the statistics of different polls throughout different years that show the measurement of happiness. And as you can see, in both of these tables throughout years, Denmark is the leader if to compare with Poland. It means that Danish people do have this concept of hygge. Do you know what is it about? Yeah, it's feeling the joy and pleasure in small things and in everyday life. And thus, when you ask Danish people how do they feel, they would rather say you something about positive sides of life. While Polish people tend to be more negativists, and they show their empathy by complaints and by sharing their problems. And thus, the dialogue and the answer on how are you for Danish people would be rather, oh, I'm just looking out of the window and enjoying this pleasant weather. While Polish people would rather say something about traffic jam or not very pleasant weather. And it's not something that says badly or good about people, it's just something that we need to take into account. Because finding something bad means that there is always a room for improvement, right? Another example was when we had here in Poland a training session and the speaker was from Denmark. And at the end of one iteration, the Danish speaker asked, do you have any questions? Obvious question, just from the speaker, regular one, and there was no hands raised. And there was a surprise on speaker's face. During lunch break, we decided to get to know what was it surprise about. And the speaker said that in Denmark, you would barely see no hands raised because people show their pure interest in the speaker, in the topic, in what was just mentioned before, while in Poland, and I would rather say it's more typical for all Slavic cultures, we don't raise questions because we show trust in this way. We show that we don't have any hesitations what the person talks about. And one more question to you. Have you ever heard about the law of Jante? Can you please raise the hands who knows about it? Oh, one person. Nice. Here are 10 postulates of this law of Jante. It's also called Janteloven. But the general concept of this law is also typical for Danish, and not only for Danish, I would say for Scandinavian and Norwegian countries. It means that we are all identical. Don't think that you're better than us. It means that all people put identically their efforts into something they're doing. And it is due to the fact that Danish people have a flat hierarchy, while in Poland, and again, it's typical for all Slavic people, we have a strong hierarchy. We all want these titles, like junior, middle, senior, and we can easily sacrifice family time and prefer work if we know why we are doing it. While in Denmark, it's crucially important to have this work-life balance. Thus, people know that at 3 or 4 p.m., they just close their laptops and they completely switch from work to their family. And that's it. So you can see how these changes are crucial. And it's important to keep in mind all of these things to build effective communication and for people to work together smoothly. And here, QA coordinator plays a vital role by not only guiding people and leading them, but also keeping high quality standards, thus embracing these cultural differences and understanding how different people from different cultures express themselves will really boost the team morale and will lead to success in cross-cultural team. That was everything from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Okay, I see one.
Hi, it was really nice to hear your speech. I have a question because I'm working in a team that is a very grown-up. I mean, everyone knows what to do. We work mostly here in Warsaw, and it's a team of QAs, senior QAs mostly, devs, analysts, and so on. The question is, sometimes we don't want to show ourselves on the camera. And how did you convince people to just put the camera on the calls, for example?
Well, first of all, I would agitate not to put any pressure on the people at all, because we want to work in a friendly environment. That's why maybe you can act as a role model, first of all. And people will see that you're here, it is completely safe, and maybe there appear some situations that it's impossible to turn on cameras, or people don't want to do it, then they don't have a correct mood right now, right? It happens, it's life. But they understand that it's totally fine also to turn on cameras. And you can actually ask them to do it at the very beginning. Like,
it's not up to me to ask for it. It's just I see how it might evaluate and how, for example, we had a role model in our team that is right now on maternity leave. And that person was always on camera. And from the moment that she's not in the team, the camera disappeared. So, like, of course, it's not that we don't want to. We like each other. We show each other on the camera. But it's just, by curiosity, how it's evolving.
I would say that if you're ready, you can start to encourage people. Like meeting by meeting, you can become this coordinator. If you really see the value, you can explain this value to other people and start with yourself. And thus, people, not at once, obviously, it will not happen just in one click, but step by step, I'm pretty sure that you will convince them. First of all, with your acting, and then I'm pretty sure that they will follow your example too. Thank you for the question.
Okay, I see next.
Hi, I would like to challenge one of the theses. At some point when you discussed the different tasks of QA coordinator, you mentioned assigning tasks.
Yes.
And you suggested that those should be done in the manner that people best qualified for a given job get the job, particular task, right? So how do you include into this model two things? One, substitution if person is absent or leaves the team. And second, there are also differences here because some people would get burnout if they get every time difficult task and have to learn everything. But some other people get bored if they do many times same thing and they prefer to learn new tasks.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I would say that there are different types of people in your team. Yes, you're working with people day by day, and you see that some people really like challenges, and other people don't like. They just find ways doing the repetitive work and just please don't disturb me. This is the scope of work that I have already done and I don't care anymore. I just want to go home once I finished my scope of work. And that is also something that you should take into account as a manager of the team. Obviously, it's utopical to think that people will do all the time everything that they want. Sometimes they need to do the tasks that they are not interested about. The thing is that not to make it the rule of thumb, because this may definitely lead to the situation when the person starts to be interested at going at work at all and opening a laptop. Does it answer the question? Thank you.
Okay, I have a short question. Could you repeat the name of the test with personal questions?
36 questions technique.
Hi.
Hello.
So in the first part, you discussed the activities that encourage communication.
Yes.
And when I saw them, I realized that they are that was a set of very varied things. So I was thinking to myself, did you come across something when you were preparing that specifically does not contribute to good communication? And I'm not asking about any kind of unethical behavior. Something that is a normal, significant part of work, but should not be on the slide about improving communication. Because almost anything improves communication, I think. I may be wrong. Do you know what I mean by this question? Because there were coffee breaks, there were passion clubs. Yeah? So when I think like what the things that I do in my work.
Yes.
Unless I am typing the code, yeah, almost anything improves communication. That's what I thought when I saw that slide.
But have you ever faced the situation when some specific occasion leads to conflicts? It can be also another side of the coin. Any of these strategies, if they used incorrectly, they lead to miscommunication. For example, if you use some strategy and will not take into account the cultural differences of people, it may lead to another completely result. And it will ruin this trustworthy environment, right? So I would say that it's everything context dependent, and I have gathered these techniques throughout the experience that I have been working with different companies, with different teams. And it doesn't mean that they are used simultaneously and at the same time altogether. But there are some challenges that are hidden behind the strategies, and if you use them incorrectly, it will really may have negative results. Do you have any suggestions additional to this?
No, thank you. I'm not in QA, so I don't.
But you're working here, so
yes, I do.
You see how some of the strategies work, right?
Do you have any questions? Okay, AC.
Good evening. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas. I have a question regarding the virtual coffee breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please share how often do you hold these meetings and how many people participate in these meetings?
I can tell you about my experience, how it was. So we just arranged, if I'm not mistaken, it was for half an hour sessions. And either before daily stand-up meetings or after that, it was on Fridays for everyone to feel more relaxed and more engaged. And it also fosters the informal atmosphere. So everyone knows that it's already the end of working week, everyone is already tired, and it really helped to talk about anything except for work. And during the working week, we had something together from our everyday life, and we were able to share some of this interesting news that were going on, or some situations that happens, plans to share with the team about. And yeah, it really had a paramount influence on all our informal talks. And
Yes, thank you. And how many people usually participate?
we had a team that consisted of 5 QAs.
Oh, okay. So half an hour is enough. And do you usually do it once a week? So every Friday?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the idea.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Thanks for your presentation. My question is, after these years of your work and using these techniques, do you see, like, how many changes do you see in people's mindset in a team?
Oh, the more you know, the more you have unanswered questions, right? I think that, yeah, every experience brings the value to the previous one. And it's not always repetitive. You get to know other cultures, you get to know ways of working of different teams, and you improve your experience in this way. So I think that the limit just is the sky for this. Right now, you mean? Well, I just joined BSc in August last year. And yeah, as I have shared, we have implemented these bi-weekly sessions, and we had recently a retrospective session, and team members shared that it really brought the value for them. So we decided to do them on a constant basis, regularly, and we already had a session with some psychological things, and it's right now in progress. And also people admit how crucial it is to understand better not only each other but the ways people work within this team. So it's just the first example that came to my mind.
Okay. Do you have any question?
Yes,
Maybe
here was
last
a question.
Okay.
I had so many questions,
Please go on.
but maybe only one for now. It's about different cultures. Do you know any tool where we can learn more about differences, not only with Denmark, but with other countries and other cultures?
Well, first tool I would say is obviously communication. Because when I just joined BSc, for example, we had a lot of meetings within onboarding. And some of the sessions were about intercultural differences. And first, we didn't understand the value of it. But later on, yeah, it was the very good start. And you can actually Google it, maybe. There are a lot of articles about different cultures, about interesting things that this typical things for these mentalities, I would say. And you can then maybe openly discuss all these things that you have read through with your team. That's actually what we have done. We had a cross-cultural training session, and then we did a presentation for our team discussing, do these things really work like this? Are we really different in these perceptions of world, or the article lies? So maybe Copilot as well could be a tool, or ChatGPT. And then again, I would really engage people to communicate about this. So whenever you read or you get to know something, just feel free to share with something that you have read and discuss it with people. And you will definitely understand whether it was right or wrong, or there may be some adjustments to this article, and you will dive into another culture quicker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for questions. Alona, thank you very much for your presentation.